After South Dakota lawmakers voted to pass a bill pushing back against the transgender movement, one lawmaker in Florida is proposing legislation that would outlaw sex change procedures for children. The Florida legislature has agreed to take up a proposal put forward by State Representative Anthony Sabatini. And joining us now to talk about it is John Stemberger. He's the president of the Florida Family Policy Council. Welcome, John.
Hey, Mark. Good to see you.
Talk about State Representative Sabatini's bill. If passed, what would it do?
So what this bill does is two major things. It prohibits gender reassignment surgeries or changing a child's sex who's a minor, or it also prohibits any chemicals or procedures which would cause sterility. When you mix a puberty blocker with a hormone, that child that has permanent damage, mostly involving sterility, meaning they can't have children. We think this is very unethical and can tantamount to child abuse, and so the bill would prevent both those things.
Talk more, John, about your thoughts on transgender treatments for kids overall.
So what we're seeing is what's called rapid onset gender dysphoria. It's not actual gender dysphoria. It's social media. It's kids wanting to be cool in school. It's you say you're transgender and all of a sudden you're a rock star. And so kids are acting out in kind of crazy ways, not even knowing what they're talking about. There's some very good research, peer-reviewed research that appears in refereed journals showing that when young people who suffer from some type of confusion or fluidity, if they just go through puberty, then it all resolves and they no longer have this sense of wanting to be the opposite sex. So there's really no reason, the research is clear, that we should force a child or require a child to undergo these procedures. They're life-changing, they're radical, they're permanent. And so this bill would prevent that. It would even prevent a parent from doing that. And you know, normally we would fight for parents' rights, but there comes a time, I mean, if a parent is involved with abuse or neglect or abandonment of their child, then the state has a compelling interest in stepping in and saying, wait a second, you can't do that. And since this is such a serious procedure, this bill would prohibit doctors and parents from undergoing these procedures with their minors.
And you mentioned research. Dr. James Cantor, a clinical psychologist and sexologist based in Toronto, said clinicians should continue what's called, quote, watchful waiting, which is holding back from taking any steps to manipulate gender dysphoric children's identities, but simply observing what happens over time. From your last response, it sounds like you agree with that.
That's right. The problem is there's too much ideology and politics here from the left and the LGBT movement. There's not enough looking at the hard science and the research on this. While there's not a lot of studies, the studies that we do have show that children that just wait, really this dissipates in time. The leading clinic, Tavistock Clinic, the gender clinic in the UK, the director of that clinic just left. He said, look, this is not working. This is harmful to my patients. This guy's not an evangelical Christian. He's just saying this is harmful. They need counseling. They do not need drugs and gender reassignment surgery.
And quickly, Sabatini's legislation has been labeled anti-LGBTQ. Do you agree?
It's a ridiculous claim. We're trying to protect children. And if we as a society can't protect children from harm, whether it's from doctors or the society or even their own parents, we're in a bad situation. So this is a good bill. We're hoping that the leadership takes a look at this again in Florida and that it would possibly pass.
All right, John Stemberger, the president of the Florida Family Policy Council. Thanks for your time and your insights, John.